where we eat bread, but in fact, by his word, we are partaking of his very body. We drink wine, but by his act and his word, we drink his blood. He nurtures us and nourishes us. He feeds us with bread from heaven. Now, the Israelites, they had their wilderness wandering and they had manna from heaven. And Jesus had to remind them it wasn't Moses that gave them the bread, God. Give us some of that bread that Moses gave. Well, it wasn't Moses that gave it, but God, the Father. And that bread which came down from heaven in the Old Testament is the same bread which came down from heaven in the New Testament. And Jesus says here, it's himself. It's Jesus, the bread that came down from heaven to nurture and strengthen and comfort us. Now, I don't know about you, but I've gone into grocery stores and the bread shelves have been empty. And, I scratch my head. How is that possible with all the riches and resources we have in this country? And yet, the shelves are empty. But when we look at Jesus, he never leaves us. He is always there. He is always available. He is always present. There is no empty shelves in the body of Christ because Jesus, the bread of life, is always there. And that is something we can embrace, especially in a time of chaos when we're hearing all kinds of different stories and all kinds of different fears being put out there, all kinds of lies and falsehoods and innuendo, and boy, body could get really messed up. But cut through all the noise and listen to the Lord. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. And that's a hope we have in this time of chaos, and it's been the hope that the church throughout history has had in times of chaos. We are not the first church to go through pandemics. We're not the first church to have horrible problems happening. It's the first time they've shut down the churches for it. And we have all kinds of reasons for doing that. And I understand them. But ultimately, what pulls us together, what nurtures and nourishes us, is the bread of life, Jesus. Now, how many of you heard about the church that got closed because they were worshiping? Well, you have to understand that church had 500 people and they were all right up against each other and carrying on. As a body of Christ, we do not risk everybody. We have plenty of space in our sanctuary to spread out as far as you want. This is where the body, this is where the blood is. This is where the promises are. His word, his means of grace, and that ultimate gift, the bread of life. And when we partake of this, we'll never go hungry. We will never go thirsty because Jesus has promised it. He is in us and with us, for us, speaking to the Father on our behalf. So take comfort, take confidence, and take hope that there is one Lord, one faith, one salvation. And it's all rooted in that awesome meal, the bread of life, Jesus. Amen. Okay.